you're never worried about Barcelona scoring goals. Like, they're always going to score goals. They've got so many players who are so dangerous on the counter-attack, breaking forward. But it was great to him to get his hat-trick because he thoroughly deserved it, played ever so well, and so did a few other players.
Here is a look at just his day and how well he did, because obviously the big talk before the game was no Rafinha and no Robert Lewandowski, but I suppose that didn't matter today, Grell.
No, and a lot of these goals are credit to all the guys also around him. This pass, look at the space. I mean, he's still got to finish them off, but look at the space that he's awarded there, the composure he has. He knows he's got a bag full of tools that he could score anyway. The first one, he scores the first 2 goals with his left foot. This one, again, a third with his left foot.
Great finish.
But these are finishes a player of his caliber you would expect to finish, and especially at Barcelona. These are goals, and he slots them well there.
Perfect day for him. He had 4 shots on target. He scored 3 of them as well. He had 3 goals in his previous 20 Champions League appearances. I suppose that's the thing with Barcelona, isn't it, Tony? They're such a deep team that you're never quite sure who the superstar is going to be of the day.
Yeah, and we saw a young kid, 17-year-old Fernandez in the middle of the field. They have another young Fernandez
who didn't play,
Tony Fernandez, right, who I think is also 17. I mean, it's amazing
17 as well.
What they do. And it's a club that over the years, with all the success, if you think about it, they're not afraid to play young players, right? And that doesn't always equal to winning things, right? It's a club that's been built around winning. But they are banged up right now, which when this team gets healthy, it's going to look obviously a little bit different. There's some really big pieces of the puzzle missing. But another good performance by them.
I do admire that. Sorry, Poppy. I do admire that, Tone. That I love the fact of a club so big, a worldwide club that's adored by many. When they have injuries, they're not scared to give their academy players an opportunity. Because if this was another club we were talking about that might be in the same stature of Barcelona, they're not playing youngsters. They're not bringing many kids to the academy that they trust to go and do that. But Barcelona, that's something that they deserve a lot of credit for, because they're not scared to give academy players an opportunity, especially at a young age.
Poppy, did you say he's the first Spanish player? I know Messi would have taken up a lot of the hat tricks, right? Obviously not a Spanish player, but he's the first Spanish player to score a hat trick in Champions League.
Yeah, for
Barcelona.
Iniesta
never did it. I know he's not a great goal scorer. Yeah, it seems weird. I don't know. Does it seem weird to you?
At the start,
well, remember that there's more teams in the Champions League now compared to back in the day.
But still, the first Spanish player to score.
For a Spanish team is
that's
insane.
Pretty good for him.
Obviously, the young players are a big talking point, but what about Marcus Rashford, Nige? Because he's been at the top of the English media lately, coming into his own, and after we've talked about it at length, the disaster that was at the end of his Man United tenure, to now see him in this form, and for there to be talks of him being in the England squad in 2026, I mean, what a change it's been for him.
He has to be in it. He has to be in the England squad. Right about now, the left-hand side, you probably say is Anthony Gordon's. I think that from watching Thomas Tuchel's side, that he does favour Anthony Gordon and likes the whole team dynamic, and Anthony Gordon scored today, put in another good performance, but Marcus Rashford is pushing him. I think it's between those 2 players to get a starting spot for the left-hand side of that midfield for England, but he definitely has to be in the plane to go there, because he's performing, he's gone in there, better environment than it seems to have been at Manchester United, and there's many debates and conversations that can be had about how he played his part in his Manchester United career, or so-called downfall. But he's gone to Barcelona. Many people didn't think that he'll be a success there, that he'll be written off, but Hansi Flick likes him. Hansi Flick's getting the best out of him. He's playing his part, taking his goals well, and scored 2 goals today, beautifully taken goals. He's just got to keep doing it. He's got to get his head down and keep performing and keep playing and showing the quality and the skills that he has. Because even Thomas Tuchel said it himself, that he has all the attributes to be a world-class player, to be at the highest level. It's down to him, and he's starting to show it.
I think a lot of people owe him an apology. I felt bad for him because I've experienced it as a player, where the club is so massive and they control a lot of the media and they control a lot what comes out of the club. And so the dialogue at the end of Man United was, he's not a great guy off the pitch, right? He's a problem in the changing room. He doesn't work hard. Like all these things that they were saying about him. Credit to him, he knew how good he is. He knows his ability. And he said, I want out. I'm done. And because at the time, Amarim was saying, oh, well, we could still use him. He's still part of the group. And he's like, no, I'm done here. I'm out. And I'm going to move on. And he made the necessary steps. And now is on the biggest stage, scoring this beautiful goal here tonight, but also probably going to get into the national team. So credit to him, because I know what it's like to be on the other end when, the club and the media is controlling the entire dialogue and no one knows what's actually going on from the player's perspective. So credit to him for believing in himself, making the, I guess, backwards moves, you could say, to get to where he is now. So
right.
The quality is clear, though.
I would say, though,
to see the
Grella,
quality.
you're a big man on accountability. There are some decisions and things that he did do that he has to take accountability for, which didn't help his situation. And I think as a player, sometimes when you go through these type of situations, you got to be careful, because you can't be naive into this, because you know what it's like to be a professional footballer. You know what comes with the press and the media. You know how you'll be scrutinising decisions that you make, whether you're going away with friends and certain things that you do. You have to play the game. And playing the game for me is sometimes keep your mouth shut, get your head down and do what you have to do. And you've also got to be very careful with what you say in the press and how you address certain situations.
Do you think he's learned from that experience then? To now him being in a good place, in an amazing place, you've got to say, do you think he will have learned from everything that kind of transpired at the end of Manchester United?
I think only time will tell. I think what's helping him is he's not being in the juggernaut press of the English media, because the English media can be a lot more ruthless compared to other places in the world, and what comes with playing for Manchester United and you know, the accountability and being a young lad that's come through the academy, that's part of the club and should know better and do better. But sometimes you need that seniority, you need that guidance, because you can't come there. Not everyone is built to be a captain or built to be a leader. And sometimes they would like to, footballers, a lot of footballers are followers. That's the reality. A lot of footballers are not leaders. And there are some that are leaders, and that's why they shine brighter than the rest, because you know a natural born leader. But at the same time, he's got his head down now. He's playing football. For the footballing fans now, all they will care about is that part of it. He needs to continue to perform at the level that he's performing and just be quiet, leave the rest as it is, but keep scoring goals and playing well, and everything else will take care of itself.
And sometimes you just need to change the scenery, right? In this case, you have a lot of success when you're a young player. Look, we're talking about Lamine Yamal having parties, right? And some guys are saying, just let the guy be 17 or 18 years old, right? And he'll figure this thing out. And maybe Marcus Rashford didn't figure it out right away. So he needs to get out of the environment that he's in. I give him credit, because he could have continued in the same way. He could have said, this is what I do, and if you don't like it, then, you know, the one thing, he got out of the English media, but it's not as if he's in a place that doesn't follow you 24 hours a day. I don't watch England, the national team, on a weekly or an international window every time they come around. I find it hard to believe, though, with 26 players on a roster, that Marcus Rashford's not going to be in that roster.
Which, who would have thought? Who would have thought, you know, a year ago that he would even be in the conversation for a place with the England squad? I think another thing, Grella, that we've seen is maybe he needed the pressure to be off his shoulders, because when he went to Barcelona, I mean, yeah, there was hope that he was going to do well, but they weren't relying on him to be the difference, were they?
Yeah, he just had to take care of himself, right? At Manchester United, it was like all the pressure was on him. For sure, that's going to be that's helpful, and that changes things. I was just thinking earlier, though, as a defender playing against, like, Barcelona's on the schedule, and you have to play them, and you know you're going to come up against Yamal and Rafinha and Rashford and Fermin Lopez and Pedri and all these different players. Can you, like, we all sit here and say, oh, I'd like that. I'd like that opportunity. I want to play against them. I don't know if I'd want to play against them.
Nothing really surprised me from them. We know how they're going to play. We know their style of football. Lamine Yamal is still doing Lamine Yamal things, like real top player, and give credit to the young player as well. Fernandez, that we spoke about, came in, 17-year-old, playing that number 10 role. But I think for me, the biggest turning point is the referee in this game. I think the referee made a decision for me that turned this game, but credit to Barcelona to get the win. Tony said it as well. There's no problem with them scoring goals. No problem whatsoever. Defensively, still very questionable. And as this tournament goes and they play more experienced and better sides with better experience, they'll probably find it harder. But just what I expected from Barcelona.
Yeah, you saw the best of the high line tonight, Grell, which sometimes you don't always see when they're more challenged against Europe's elite.
Of today?
Yeah. Did you think it was a good performance for Barcelona?
With Olympiacos?
Right, with the high line today?
I think you can get away against in La Liga as well. I think that's why you play 38 games and you get away with it a lot against the teams that don't take advantage. Against the teams that, because for you to take advantage, you have to assume that you have to get the ball in the midfield, and you have to be able to look up, and you have to be able to have 5-6 yards of space to make that pass, right? And everything has to time out. I don't think, because the way they press the ball after loss, they don't give a lot of teams that chance, right? So against the likes of, and again, no disrespect to Olympiacos, but I think they struggle to find those moments to really hurt them. But against teams like last season, against Inter, where Inter could play, boom, 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 quick triangle, get their head up, now they're exposed, and now they find themselves in trouble. So I wouldn't look at today's match and say, oh, yeah, the high line worked today. They didn't get exposed today. I think
But this is when you see it at its best, right? When other teams can't cope with it.
Yes, when other teams can't get their head up and find the pass to kill you, then, yeah, it looks amazing because you keep on winning it and you go fast, quick, forward, and you score. Well, they scored 6 goals today. So, and then, of course, the conversation is the referee helped them because the game got spicy at 2-1. Olympiacos came back, made it difficult, and you know, the referee basically get out of jail free card.
You got to explain something. I don't understand the 38 games. It could work over 38 games in a league where you're seeing them. I'm trying to add that up in my head.
So if you're playing against, and this is the way I look at it, right? If you're playing against, you're playing 38 games, I think it's going to work. Most of the time. So if we're playing poker, right, and I have ace king, right? Are you a good poker player now?
No, I'm with you now.
Okay.
Yeah, so far you got me.
Okay, this is the best way to explain it. You have ace king, right? And you play 10 hands. You're probably going to win 8 of them. So on the 2 you lose, you're going to say, oh, well, I can't believe I lost with ace king, but I lost 2. So you have percentages in your favor. But when you're playing 1 hand, which is in Champions League football knockout, and you play ace king, it's very possible you can lose. You know what I'm saying? So over the course of 38 games, you're going to win 80, 90% of those games. But in Champions League, all it takes is to lose 1.
They got to the semifinals last year. It's not as if they...
But you don't get anything for that.
Yeah, I get it, but it's not as if they were that far away. They got knocked out in the group stage.
But you get 1 game wrong is more severe punishment.
I think the argument is Inter had them over 2 games. So a week later, you make an adjustment on what you saw in the first game. I think that's where you beat them. Over 38 games, you see him once, and then 19 weeks later, you see him again. Like, you're not worried about him for that long.
But they never adjust. They never adjusted the second leg against Inter. I think it was 14 passes. Inter scored 7 goals. But with 14 passes, that's a bad recipe, I think, for success.
Let's just talk about that controversial moment because Christina Unkel is here with us. Good to see you, Christina. Santiago Hezze getting that second yellow card. Walk us through it. What did you think about it all?
Yeah, so I did go back and take a look. Did he get contact in the face? The answer is yes. But this is one where I will agree with the boys. I would prefer him to have managed this decision and this call. The play in and of itself, right, as you see, his right hand kind of swipes up and a little bit towards the face. He's fighting off the Barcelona player. I think it was Golazo who was holding him back to basically kind of push him off. Should his hand be that high? The answer is no. But this is something as a referee, when he takes a look back at it, he'll see the intensity of that contact and he will see why the recommendation will be, yes, you can give the foul there, but hold on to that yellow card. You don't need it here in this situation, and you don't need it in this place.
That's Christina. Christina, this is for me when I get frustrated. I understand about VAR, and obviously they can't intervene in that situation because the referee gave a yellow card and all that. But for me, my simple understanding is, isn't VAR supposed to be introduced to help referees not make decisions like that? Why can't they change the rules to say, right, this is not a yellow card incident?
The biggest point of VAR is not to re-referee the game, and that's why there are VAR protocols so that the second yellow card isn't reviewed, because at that point you're going to be reviewing the first yellow card and the second yellow card, so it just leads down to too much of a slippery slope if you're reviewing every and any yellow card, because then it's going to be like, well, let's review every yellow card at that point.
Okay, so but that yellow card affects the game. That turns into a red card, and that affects the outcome of the game because momentum was in favor of Olympiacos at that point, and to get a second yellow card for something that silly and just, it's not a yellow card in the first place. It kills the game and it changes the whole dynamic.